Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Midler, live here in the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. Thanks for joining us. We are here every weekday, starting at 1 o'clock, and we go throughout the afternoon. We cover a wide range of topics here on this show, something that's a topic of mind for probably everybody in the Pacific Northwest and well beyond that are wildfires. This is the season for it. If you're in the Portland metro area right now, we're already seeing some smoke and some haze that's coming up the Willamette Valley. So probably everybody in the Willamette Valley is dealing with this, coming from a fire near Medford, but they're all over the place. But with advancements in technology, we are getting better and better about how to detect those, how to manage those, and how to deal with those after the fact as well. We're going to talk about some of all of those things. Joining us right now, we have Leland Driscoll from U of O's Oregon Hazards Lab, and great to have you on here as always, just to talk about all these different things that you all do there, but just different ways that we can manage this part of our lives here. Wildfires are a part of everybody's life, and how to handle that. So thanks for joining us. And to start off, would you mind telling everybody, in case they don't know, just a little bit about yourself and that department that you work for there?
Yeah. I direct the Oregon Hazards Lab. We're in the Earth Sciences Department at the University of Oregon. Our mission is multi-hazards detection throughout the state. We both balance monitoring earthquake activities in the region as part of the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, but we're also part of a statewide camera system for fires. Within our portfolio, we present cameras in the Alert West platform. They're publicly available, but that complements work that's been done for quite a while from the state with the Oregon Department of Forestry, as well as some of the big utilities like Portland General Electric. So there's numerous fire detection cameras all throughout the state and region, and they all kind of feed into similar space, and they're really there for fire response agencies to detect and then act on fires, and also to watch their behaviors over time and really inform the operational response. In the end of it all, we really are looking for cost savings here, safety being increased both for the public but also for fire response agencies.
I mean, it seems like to build something like that is just pretty monumental in its own right, as far as to put something like this all together and have all of these different systems working together to feed that data in. How long did it take to build this kind of a network?
Yeah, I mean, it really does. It's taken decades to do so. We've been at the seismic monitoring problem since the late 90s, really. And as of 2010 or so, we really started growing the seismic network in Oregon specifically. And that's, that was followed on within the kind of following decade with starting our camera system build out. Being able to connect live sensors that are accurate enough to detect small earthquakes to large earthquakes takes a lot of work. Building cameras, those connections and reliable power systems, reliable data systems have all really taken more than 15 years to put it all together and network it across the state. So it's a collective system rather than a few one-off stations here and there. We can't say enough about the groups that have hosted us. You see on the screen here, Deschutes 911 as an infrastructure operator, or the Oregon Department of Transportation, the various stakeholders out there who host the infrastructure we have and help us carry the data back in a reliable sense are really all part of the collective system of our sensors, data networks, and then really, most importantly, those who use the products we generate to enable public safety and also help to understand how the environment is changing over time.
Wow, I mean, that collective cohesion and kind of cross-departmental cooperation that's really going on there is pretty amazing, just to see all of that. And yeah, the way you just described it was so quick, but decades, yeah, as you mentioned, to put something like that together, but so important. And so when we have something like this, and where we're at now, what kind of things does that make like a direct impact on for, say, the general community or people who could be affected by some of these different hazards?
Yeah, well, I mean, a key thing with fires is the more expediently they're discovered and fire and caught, the better chance there is to put them out. And so there's just directly the chance to stop a fire perimeter from growing and also have the response be safer and more efficient. So a lot of cost savings that come out of there, and certainly a lot of personal savings, both life and property. So you can't say enough about that. There's also efficiencies gained about watching large fire complexes. And we know how complex fire response is, and especially when erratic behavior happens with weather patterns or fuels are especially poor for fire expansion. It's useful to have camera systems in operation to be able to see how they act and not need to depend on an expensive flight to happen or other sort of airborne services that can be at times at capacity if there's multiple fires around the state. So really the savings in that space of efficiency and operations, it's also complementary on the earthquake side that when we have Shake Alert as an earthquake early warning system, it's a similar thing where we detect an earthquake and can send out messages that said an earthquake is happening, expect shaking to come your way, and that allows somebody to get into a more safe position before strong shaking starts. So it's all about information, and it has to be accurate and reliable information to then have actionable outcomes.
Does this, collection of data now that you have that you're bringing in with this and being able to monitor things so much, whether it's earthquakes or fires, does this collection of data help you build, I don't know, any kind of a model as far as maybe even predicting or knowing a little bit more about what a fire may do, for example, or at least know where to maybe put resources given these certain variables that you've seen before?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the more information we have on and can go back and reference, the better we can look forward. And we know we're in an increasingly data-rich world in our digital lives. And so the more we can stockpile data and have anecdotes, the more it allows us to feed into things like large language models and AI for the sake of research and discovery. There's also kind of pattern recognition that we can see. And it's important to have a good record of fire behavior in the sense that if we see, the uniqueness of the topography in Oregon, the uniqueness of changing fuel conditions, the uniqueness of weather patterns, when we can put those all together and get a more complete and comprehensive picture of how events evolve, that just allows for a richer understanding and sort of look under the hood about how fires behave. And that's really a big difference from the past where things are less informed or it's really just on the ground information that can be hard to then translate into after action reviews and things along those lines.
What are some other important things that this kind of a network can do, like say for, looking at it just in the immediate future, let alone, how much we can gain from this from over time, like say for these next couple of months here with summer and high wildfire dangers, what can we utilize this network for when it comes to that?
Yes, I mean, there's a really key piece here. The camera work that we do, that the state puts on, the utilities, those suites of information are essential for first responders, as noted. So they can use those for detection and response. But the public can also see the cameras we put forth. You can see them on the alertwest.live website. They're also reproduced through the likes of the Watch Duty app. And so there's an increasing richness available to the public about ongoing and unfolding hazards. And so one can see there not only the initial detections, but there's also a listening in to the reports that are officially produced from the state or federal agencies. You can see perimeter maps, you can see evacuation zones, sheltering and housing scenarios. So the systems that we are working on really augment the collective complex of coordination about response, guidance and activity on what to do once an event happens. So really what we're doing is helping by adding tools into an already well-coordinated and remarkable system that supports fire response, supports fire, public safety, and then ongoing reaction and shelter seeking, and then ultimately all clears to come back to one's home or traverse through certain roads and areas. So what we're really trying to do is augment the excellent work that's already happening from those response agencies out there.
When you look at where we're at right now, where we've come just to even get to this point to have this much data and this much of a network build, where do you see us in, say, like 5 years as we continue to see like iterative advancements when it comes to AI, for lack of a better word, or even just the infrastructure?
Yeah, well, I mean, increasing coverage just is something that we're all collectively pushing on. So more eyes out there. We're still growing out the base footprint of the camera network, for example, that's based on land. It's not too far in the future where we'll see the improvement of satellite-based observation, because there's actively satellites being deployed specifically for fire that can really add a sort of a higher and more regional viewpoint. And being able to kind of dovetail those together gives a more complete picture of localized on the ground activity and the specifics there versus more regional pictures. So it's kind of generating a more complete picture, a more complete amount of situational awareness, and then a more complete ability to have tactical response to events when they happen. And moreover, when people can start to integrate these resources into their preparation and planning for events, they have that much better chance to evacuate when needed or when guided to. They have better ability to kind of look remotely and say, what's happening to my friends or loved ones in another part of the region that I'm not in, right? We're currently looking at the East Evans Creek fire through some of our cameras we have in the greater Medford area right now. Um, and so just there's a better working awareness that's available when we deploy these highly available resources that really allows people to both incorporate it into their plans to respond, the continuity plans one might have with their family, for example. And it also just allows us to sort of then, when something happens, know what links should we look at, what are authorities that we should see. Let's look at our preparedness kits that we have at home and note, since we've thought about this more and we feel more empowered to have situational awareness, that it allows us to exercise a safer and more complete response when hazards come our way.
Really is very comprehensive on how many different ways you can utilize this information and what it can mean for a lot of people. And something I just wanted to reiterate also for everybody, like a lot of this information is available for the public to look at as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. There's various pieces. As noted, the cameras that we produce are published through the alertwest.live website. There's a lot of information to be seen there, including direct views of cameras, and also the ability to play back time lapse to see what's happened for that particular view. The cameras are also presented via the Watch Duty app, and there's in that space that's a true aggregator of many sources of data, including just sort of the most recent reports, updates on fire perimeters, updates on defined shelters for evacuation notices themselves. So it really sort of encourage people to have a look at those types of resources. The state also puts through their wildfire dashboard active perimeters, the positions of planes that are fighting fires, and they also reproduce the camera images that we show through the Office of Emergency Management's wildfire dashboard. So there's a richness of information out there, and the more we can talk about it in conversations like this, the better folks will know that there's a lot of information out there that is directly actionable to what you can individually do.
And it's all of those years and work that goes into building something like that as well. You know, that's important, I think, for a lot of people to understand and just what this is being utilized for and how it can help in so many different ways, as we've just discussed, just different organizations or just individuals on the ground being more prepared. So really interesting stuff. And I really want to thank you for joining us here too. Is there anything else important that you think people should know?
Yeah, I mean, it's important we have real-time action that we're taking. So we're looking specifically at detections and alerting, and that has its own piece here. But we know fire is such a complex problem, and that's one thing that we're doing at the university as a whole is really looking into all of the cascading effects. We know fire burns areas that can have effects on groundwater, so we're doing research in that space. There can be the effects on landslide induction through post-fire sort of events, and that's another space we're doing research in. The effects of smoke passing around, the effects of community continuity. Those are all spaces where the University of Oregon is really leading a lot of the analysis about how Oregon can be best served and best understand its fate while we understand the fire problem is increasing. So we're sort of, I think, we're humbled to provide that service to the state, and it really aligns with where the university is headed.
Well, it's fascinating stuff, and thanks for doing all that you all are doing there for that and working with all of those other departments and organizations as well. So Leland, thank you very much for being here on Fox 12 Now. I always appreciate your conversations.
Yeah, I'm thankful to be here. Thank you so much.
And for everybody watching, we appreciate you joining us as well. We're live here in the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. We're going to take a quick break. We're actually going to have one of our new meteorologists on who's going to be joining us to talk about some of those wildfires that are taking place, and in particular that one down near Medford as well. So we'll get some information on that coming up. And if there's breaking news, we'll have that as well. But we will take a quick break now. This is Fox 12 Now.